so it's Monday. You know what that means? Stuff goes wrong on a Monday. We left out here on a Friday. This 5.5 gallon a minute pressure washer, and we've got a pallet with 2 more of them over there. These come with a little cart, tires, and a handle. We don't want that. We're going to take all that stuff off and be left with just the base so that we can mount it to this trailer right here. Come on here. So what had happened was we left that pressure washer sitting like this all weekend because we were in the process of taking the tires off and taking the handles off, throwing all that stuff away, and getting it to this point. I came in today and I said, hey, I've been wanting to do this for a while. While we've got a frame, we've got a 5.5, let's set it up here on our shelf, because what we're planning on doing is getting our fab guy to bring this shelf out another couple of inches right here so that we can put a belt drive on our skids and have a tank fed skid, which we currently don't do. We've just never had the time to get away from working so much. Take a look at this one. So the shelf is like measured out for these direct drives. So what we're going to do is bring this out right here where it's not covering the soap tank lid, and we can run a 5.5 on the skid. Okay, so we get in here this morning. Dusty goes ahead and takes the wheels and the handles off of the pressure washer, but remember, it's been sitting like this all weekend, which is not good. The reason it's not good, and this is something you guys may run into if you're not careful, if you're running a pressure washer on the back of your truck and you lean it up, or you're doing something and you leave it like that for any amount of time, what can happen and what can go wrong. So come in here real close and we're going to talk about what we have been fooling with now for 3 hours and some change. So, Mr. Wilkins, we got it on the skid this morning. We plumbed up water to it, and what happened?
It's locked up. Like it was, it had compression in it. It didn't want to spin. It would go about half a turn and then just completely lock up.
So we didn't have a battery on it. We were just going to hand crank it just to see if it was going to pull water like we wanted it to from the rear tank back there. And he pulled the cord on it, and it went about 3/4 of a round and stopped. Why did it stop? Let's start from the beginning to how do you troubleshoot when something goes wrong? What's the first symptom of what happened? Time.
Well,
I'm gonna go cut this fan off because it's loud.
You got a pump, you got a motor, so you got 2 components. And you got a belt going in between them, so pump could be locked up, motor could be locked up. So first step was to figure out if it's the pump or the motor.
And how do we do that?
Take the belt off.
On this belt driven, we're gonna break the bolts loose. There's a tensioner, slide the pump in, get tension off the belt. That way we can take the belt off, right, and see which one will turn. Can we turn the pump? Can we turn the engine? And the pump would spin by hand, so we know it's not the pump. Now we have, that's step 1 of troubleshooting, is always eliminate stuff out and you try to get down to what's the problem here, because we don't want to fool with the pump. There's nothing wrong with the pump. So now once we figured that out, step 2, what do? Now it's why is this happening, right? What I always like to do in troubleshoot mode, and he's a maintenance guy. Dusty, you've never been a maintenance guy, but if you're wired this way, it comes natural. He's a maintenance guy. You try to figure out, okay, what's different about this one than all the hundreds of other ones? You know, is there anything that's happened different with this than the normal? And the only thing that jumps out is, well, we did leave it. Oh, duh. So now we immediately know what's probably going on here. There's something that's locking up that engine on the cam when it tries to go down on that compression stroke. And what did it wind up being?
It ended up being oil gotten on the top side of the piston, which wasn't allowing it to, wasn't giving it no space to make it stroke.
Now, there's a symptom, or there's something that's telling us something ain't right in that part of the engine when you pull the dipstick and it's a 1/3 low on oil. Where did that oil go? It didn't leak out, it's not in the floor, it went somewhere and it went into that combustion chamber. So now we've got oil inside the cylinder. It shouldn't be. It should have a seal on it, right? If we tilt these up and take the wheels off, but we do it in 5 minutes, it ain't no big deal because a little bit seeped past it burns it off. But it sat like that all weekend, and so now you've got a bunch of oil. So what was the next step? What did we do next? I wish I'd have videoed it.
So next step, we pulled the spark plug out, and Now that we relieved,
It's got somewhere to
we
go.
give it somewhere so it can push that oil to. Tried it again. We shot oil all over the shop.
Yep. Pull the cord, shooting oil out. We went and got a battery just because it's going to be quicker to sit there and let the starter cycle the engine. And every time it's cycling, it's shooting globs and globs of oil out. And eventually, after a few minutes, it gets to where it's just shooting a mist of oil out, right? So
No, I got it.
we take the spark plug out, we clean the spark plug off, we put it back in, we put a little bit more oil back in the engine because now the engine's a little bit low. Not low enough that it would have hurt it, but refill everything. Will it crank? Won't crank. So what's going on now? Now we've kind of at least we're on track, we know what's going on. So now we're just trying to get it back running. Can of starter fluid. Okay, went to the store. It was we didn't have much gas in here anyway, so I took my gas can, filled it up with 93 just to try to help it out a little bit. Got some starter fluid. Come over here. Take your air filter off. There was a little bit of oil in the air filter. Try to get all that oil off of that stuff, and down into the intake. Start squirting starter fluid and cranking it over. And it took, I mean, we used half a can of starter fluid. Dusty's just sitting there babying it. And eventually, we're back to running. So, what is happening there? What's going on?
Well, when we put the spark plug back in, it's not able to ignite the gas because there's oil getting back on the spark plug. Something else I want to point out, a lot of your small engines come with something that looks like this. This is your spark plug tool. Don't throw it away. It comes in handy. So
take that down in there, put a screwdriver through it, and take it out. We can get the big stuff out by just cycling the engine over, but there's still going to be oil residue. So now you put your hand in front of the hole, the spark plug, where it goes down in there, and you just get oil and mist basically coming out all over your hand. Never going to get all that stuff out. The way to get it out is just burn it off.
Burn it out.
So we got to put some starter fluid on there, which is going to start. Be careful, you start a fire, and you just baby it until it gets to running. And now, while I've been talking, they've been putting the pump back in place, lining everything up, locking it down, setting tension on the belt. So it should be good to go. We had it running, and we finally got to where we could run it without using starter fluid. We just let it run for a few minutes. Smoke goes away, everything's back normal. Is anything wrong with this motor? Nothing's wrong with the motor. Okay. Yes, it should be sealed. There's seals, there's rings in there, but it's not 100%. So sitting like that from Friday at 2:30 all the way to Monday morning, it had basically just seeped through there until it was leveled out inside the engine and it was full. So if something like that goes wrong, don't panic, because here's the thing. I'm a customer of who we bought that engine from, and my first thought was, dadgummit, something's wrong with this. I got to send it back. They sent me a crappy, it's not. 99.999% of the time, they shipped you a good product. Same thing when we sell you a rig. Everything on it's brand new. We know it works because we test it. We sell these things and use them every day. Hey man, my pump's bad. Hey man, no, it's not. It's probably not a defect. It's either worn out and it's time to change it. It's regular maintenance, or you've goofed something up. This is not, where would you label this 1 to 10? If 10's like building the Titanic and 1's changing a fuse out on a 12-volt pump, this is a 6. Okay, it's not crazy land. It's just basic small engine stuff. The problem we have, and let's get on our soapbox now, ain't no men left that's ever pushed mowed a lawn or had to work on anything, and so it's just mind-bogglingly like they don't know where to start at. So guys, listen, if you're getting into, we've got a lot of guys who are getting out of office jobs, they're getting out, the economy's different, they're ready to get into something like this. It could be lawn care, it could be washing business, what else? I mean, there's
first
service
question,
business stuff.
is it broke?
You can't tear it up, it's already broke. So start trying to learn. You've got the internet in your hand with your phone, so it just blows people's mind. They wouldn't know where to start, and it's sad because used to, when we was little, all our daddies, we're all about the same age, all of our daddies would at least know where to start. Like, They're like, well, it's probably got, you know, and they would have a plan. But nowadays people are so, if you're watching this and you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and you've had an office desk job your whole life and you've never held these things, these are called wrenches. You're gonna have a learning curve. It's not the end of the world. You can figure this stuff out, man. It's not, there's no shame in not knowing. If I stepped into that guy's office realm, I'd be lost as a ball in high weeds. Sitting there running all these programs and stuff, that ain't my lane. But as a guy, especially if you're a guy that's gonna get into a service type business that's got engines and pumps and liquid and fluid and pressure and suction lines, and it's not hard, but it can be overwhelming if you're not used to working on stuff. So the lesson of the day is troubleshooting, figure out what has changed, what has happened, and then you just start eliminating things down. And if you get to a spot where you don't know, just Google it. There's probably a video on YouTube that'll walk you through exactly what you need to do. Last ditch scenario is take it to the small engine guy. Like, he can fix this, but I want to fix it. I want to fix it. That way, if I'm in the field and something happens, I got a pretty basic, you know, general understanding of what the crap is going on. So we're not just standing here with our elbows halfway up our arms and our teeth in our head. We got a starting point of what to do. You can fix most things with WD-40, duct tape, and a little bit of sweat. So, are we gonna fire this thing up? Well, we need to put water on it now. Let's hook some water up to it and see. It's not mounted, it's just sitting there. So we'll run it out of the tank. Little 50-foot hose. Now we have yet to fire this one up with water successfully, so let's see. We've got the engine running now. Now we're going to see if the pressure washer actually is a pressure washer, if it's just a fancy paperweight. All right, moment of truth. So, we're good to go. We're going to take this one back and put it on the trailer where it goes. Actually, we may just use it on this red skid I just built the other day and sprayed it red because we had an extra frame in the shop. So we're going to spec one out slowly over a few weeks as we get extra parts in and stick it to the side. And we may sell it, we may keep it, I don't know. But it'll be a 5.5 gallon a minute running off the tanks in the back. So yay for that. But yeah, nothing wrong with the pump, nothing wrong with the engine, just a goof on our part, leaving it like that, and getting in here on a Friday with a lot of people here. We just got out of here and didn't pay no attention to it. So anyway, hope that helps. Troubleshooting, again, it's a lost art. So if you're not good at it, practice. It's already broke. Just be careful. You gotta be careful taking covers off and belt drives, cut a finger off. So if you guys have a better Monday, we'll see you later.